Hello, and welcome to this session, the second session on how to do well in an interview, where we're going to talk about what to plan and how. As you probably know me, I'm your Arun Singhal, your coach and mentor with 40 years of experience in people development. So, what are we going to do today? So, the purpose of this module is to give you an in depth understanding of what to plan and how so that you can do well in your interviews. And there are four things that we're going to talk about in this session. First, what do we do today? What is your current planning process? Second, then we will discuss about how you do effective is that process that you use today, and then consideration of why not look at alternate process that can help you plan better. And finally, I'll give you an in-depth understanding of a better process for planning to do well in an interview. All right, so ready for this session? Right, so let's look at what do we do today. What is it that you do today to plan to do well in your interview, and how effective is that? Think about it, reflect, if required, note it down on a piece of paper, and let's talk about it now in a couple of seconds. All right. So, what do we do today? Most of us don't plan properly. That's a fact at this point of time, as I know, for doing well in an interview. We start a preparation because all of us are pressed for time, right? So, we start our preparations for the interview as and when we find time. We don't find time to prepare. And sometimes it is just about a day or a night before, and sometimes it could be a couple of days. And this kind of lack of planning and doing an ad hoc work is not very effective as because two things happen. One, we don't get enough time to prepare, and we don't prepare right things. We are in a kind of hurry and we just prepare what comes to our mind and we don't do them well. So, what this leads to is that we are unprepared, and as a result of that, we are not confident in the interview. And if you're not confident and if you're not prepared well, it leads us to not doing well in the interview, right? Do you agree? Okay, so why not consider a process that is a couple of steps systematically taken that can provide you enough time to prepare well? And you can prepare what will be asked, what you need to prepare, and then you are confident that this will be asked, and this is what I prepared, and this is how I will answer it, and then you perform well, confidently in the interview, and you have a great chance of being selected. So, what do you plan for an interview? What to plan for an interview? You need to start with first, if it is a face to face interview, you need to plan how will I reach there physically in time and in good shape. If you're connecting online, then you need to again plan that how will I connect. So you need to decide, like, if you're going physically, what route to take, what's the best way to reach there so that I reach in good shape there. Time to start. And you need to provide for times like would there be a traffic jam. And it's always a good practice to plan start in such a way that you reach at least half an hour in time early. If you are connecting online, then you need to plan for how you're going to connect. Are you going to connect on phone, on WhatsApp, on Zoom, MS Team, or whatever? And whatever the preference of the recruiter is, and you're going to connect, you need to be familiar with that mode of connection. Like, I'm not very familiar with MS Team. So what I would do is I will figure out how the MS Team works, do a maybe trial run or a dry run, and be ready to connect at that point of time. Makes sense? Sorry about that. Then you need to know if you're connecting online, what is the number or link? Do you have that? And also test it and see. It should happen that you're not able to use that number or link to connect and the time to connect. And always be little ahead of time so that you have that less amount of nervousness. It's very important to be dressed well, to be dressed appropriately for an interview. You need to decide what will you wear for the interview. The choices are: would you be in completely formals, a suit and a tie, right? Or would you be in smart casuals, a t-shirt and maybe a jeans or whatever? Or it'll be completely casual, right? You could be getting up from your bed and talking. Then you have to decide questions like, if it is suit and a tie, will it be a suit and tie only, or no suit with a tie, or no tie at all? It might also be important to consider details like which dress to wear, and decide on a dress that you feel very confident, that feel you feel is lucky for you, kind of things. I mean, these are superstitious things, but the whole idea is when you go for interview, you should be very confident, rightly confident. You need to decide, you need to plan for what are you going to carry or keep with you for the interview. If you're going for a face-to-face, what are you going to carry with you? And if it is online, what are you going to keep on your side so that if the recruiter wants to see or wants to talk about it, you can show that piece to him. Things like CV. Do you need to carry or keep a CV copy with you? You need to carry certificates or keep certificates, appointment letter, any exhibits that you might like to show to your recruiter during the interview. Then things to prepare to do well. You have time to prepare and you're doing little ahead of time. So what topics would you prepare? Instead of trying to do everything, go opening up Kotler and looking at every chapter, you need to find out what topics do I need to prepare. And we'll talk about how to prepare these topics, how to find what topics to prepare. And what kind of questions would you need to prepare? And lastly, and most important thing is plan for practice session. Because unless you practice, you will not feel confident, you will not feel prepared, and you have lesser chances of doing well. All right? Okay, so let's look at how do we plan for all of these things. What I suggest is we want to give you a very simplified project management process. Anything that you want to do, it can be taken as a project. So you need to do a couple of steps and make a small plan, which basically says, what am I going to do? When am I going to do? And when will that finish? So on an Excel sheet or even on the back of an envelope or a piece of paper or any sophisticated tool. That's up to you. So first thing is just list down a kind of things that you'll have to do. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And that list you can add as you go along. For each list, for each activity, against that you say, okay, how much time do you think I will take? And a bit little conservative there. Not too conservative, but little conservative. Then against the third column, you write down, when can I start that earliest? Can I start it immediately? Or can I start after completing one of those things there? Schedule these activities on a calendar, on an Excel, or on a piece of paper. Then you see, based on your, when can you start, how much time does it take, which activity is finishing last? And that becomes what is called your critical path. If you can complete that activity, then you will complete your project or your preparation in time. See which activity finishes, as I said, and then see whether, as a result of this, is this activity finishing right in time or earlier, then you need to be ready for an interview. And if the whole time is being taken more than after your interview, obviously you need to go back and look at this activity. This is on the critical path and see what can I do to compress that, shorten that. Can I start it earlier? Can I do faster and smarter? And repeat till the time you have a plan that finishes by the time you want to do an interview. And on your screen, you can see a chart that could be used to draw this plan. All right? Okay. So what did we learn in this module? What we learned is that we don't really plan. All of us just get up and do it day or two, or some of us do plan, but most of us don't do. And this process is not effective because we don't get enough time and we don't prepare what should be prepared in terms of what will be asked in the interview. And so why not consider a process? We looked at it, we saw that there's a need to consider a process that can help us prepare the right things and prepare them well in time, and that should give us enough time to prepare it so that when we go for the interview, we are confident. We now know how to plan. What we need to do is to plan, and we know how to plan. For things like what route to take, how to connect for an interview, what to wear and carry, what to prepare and practice, and things like that. We also know how do we plan this by producing an activity schedule. And there we talked about that what we need to do is make a list of things, figure out the times required, when can we start early, etc., etc. And we have a plan that we say, okay, if I work as per the plan, I know I am going to finish my preparation in time, I am going to be well prepared, and consequently will do well in my interview. So where do we go from here? So what we do now is, having done and learned what to prepare, what to plan. We're now going to do what to prepare and how. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope you have liked this video. And I look forward to seeing you again in the next module where we'll talk about how to prepare, what to prepare, and how to prepare. Great meeting you again.